Because if you don't take your trust back, it leaves you open to the next thing, being manipulated. Some individuals got manipulated inside of their relationship. Hey now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries with Tanya E. If you are walking through some of the issues that I may have encountered, for those of you that don't know, I got married at 21. After 11 years of marriage, I found myself going through a divorce, having to raise my 2 sons alone. That divorce left me feeling broken. Why, after all this time that I poured everything that I am into this relationship, it did not work? Was it me? Was it something that I did? And I took the time to internalize all the mess, all the pain, all the drama. That is not something I want you to walk through. But a lot of us end up doing it because when you feel broken and discarded and left to your own devices in a relationship, that abandonment is emotional, it's physical, and it brings a lot of other things. Because abandonment is basically the withdrawal of somebody's presence and their support. And it can often make you feel like you're an orphan. And here's another thing that it does. When abandonment shows up, it does not just show up by itself. It will unearth some things that you tried to bury long ago. Because as you walk through this feeling of being discarded, it's not just that one thing. It's tied with several other things along the way. Be okay with unpacking the layers. For some of us, that's the inability to trust again. There is nothing wrong if you gave your trust to someone else. Just be mindful of what occurs if you have to take your trust back. Because if you don't take your trust back, it leaves you open to the next thing, being manipulated. Some individuals got manipulated inside of their relationship. They call it gaslighting. They got all these various things, narcissism. Now let me pause with the narcissism thing. To be a narcissist, you really need to be diagnosed. But people can have narcissistic tendencies. So look it up so you're aware of the tendencies, but don't just willy-nilly call someone a narcissist. A lot of those narcissistic behaviors is just pure selfishness. Start with the first thing I want to share with you today. You have to begin with knowing who you are at the core of your being. Too many times we walk into relationships thinking that the other person is going to fill in some pieces. Getting married at 21, we shared stuff together. We had plans together. We had things together. And I just knew we would grow together. That beautiful fairy tale that a lot of us get about marriage, I bought into it. And so because of that, I never really took enough time to be clear who Tanya was. I allowed a lot of who I was to be molded and developed around that relationship. So when it died on the vine 11 years later, Tanya was broken. The abandonment that I'd already shared that had been tossed away got resurrected. The issues that he sort of knew along the way, because you reveal who you are, even if you don't recognize enough of who you are, those around you see it. So I want you to do this as a first strategy. You got to get more clarity about who you are to love every element of your being so that when anybody else comes to your world, they're an addition, they're complementary. Think of it like this, and some of you are already aware that I've written this previously in my book. I wrote chapter 6 as complimentary because in my mind, I had to be clear about how I was going to function. If you have an outfit, let's say a suit, it's a basic blue suit. To make that basic blue suit do anything different, you just add accessories. The suit is still going to cover you. The suit is still going to be there for you. You are still covered. You are still whole. There is nothing else really needed. But you may want to put, as women, sometimes you may want to wear a scarf. Gentlemen, you may want to put a pocket square. Those are something that's accessorized to complement what you have, but it is not necessary. It's good to have it. It's enjoyable to have it, but you're still whole without it. Know who you are right now without. You may need to ask some people around you to give you an idea of who you are. What is that one thing that people keep asking you to do for them? They already know it's a gift of yours. They already know it's a strength of yours. But because you do it naturally, it may not be a clue in your mind. Somebody knows that you're already loving, supportive, and giving. Somebody knows that you are organizing and you're structured and you're analytical and you're logical, even if you don't think of it that way, because you automatically come up with plans. You can automatically walk into a situation and have a big vision about how it can work out. For some individuals, you may be the one to just do. You come in and you see that this needs to get done and you just do it. So get clear about who you are. Get a journal, and I often tell individuals, get a journal. And you may need to get several because there's things that you're going to need to write out of your soul. And you don't know when you may be triggered. But if you took a few moments to write out, it may dawn on you why it is. And then you got clarity of where to start to heal. I had to tell Tanya that you are loving because the abandonment of my first marriage made me believe that there was something so unlovable in my being. Something about me is unlovable. Something about me is broken. So I took on all of the mess until I realized there's nothing that's unlovable about me. Some people just may not know how to love you. So the first thing you need to do is know how to love yourself. What is it you know that you do well? What is it you know about yourself that you can say without any validation from another soul? I do that. Write that down first. And if you're unsure, start asking people, give me one word that comes to mind when you think of me. Here's a second thing. When you walk into a situation that you are feeling stuck, you get the chance to choose to do different. Too many times we get into this thought process that we cannot make a different choice. When you got up this morning, you probably decided to choose what you were going to wear. You already know on a subconscious level that you can choose a different outfit. When you got stuck in this moment, you can choose to do something different. Because I went through step one and started writing down, what do I know to be true about me? Then with relationships, you can choose different with relationships. You're going to have people around you that y'all have surrounded your life with give you the thoughts because they don't quite know what to do in this situation, but somebody's going to ask because they're curious and nosy. Well, why did y'all really break up? What really happened? I want you to know you don't have to answer those questions. You can create preset responses to any question you think you may get. And if you don't have a preset response, here's one that you can use. I don't feel like talking about that. And then don't. Don't entertain the discussion because here's something about being able to choose different. Somewhere along the way, people have gotten used to you just doing what you do, so they don't expect you to choose anything different. That leads me to the third part. You have to teach people how to treat you because you've already taught them one way of dealing with you. Now, choose different, teach them something different. I share 3 levels of relationship. I was definitely in the middle of the 3 C's. There comes a time when you will have to decide if you need clarification, connection, or closure about a person to determine how to move forward in the relationship. Some relationships need connecting. Some relationships need clarifying. You will need to take the time to determine what the relationship should be in order for it to be beneficial for both of you. I took the time to write down some things that I think will support you. The free chapter is available for you in the link below. The first level is you. Think of yourself as a house. If you're the house, you don't just let anybody walk in and out of your regular house. So don't let anybody just walk in and out of your heart. You keep yourself contained and you only let people on level 1 that can be inside of the house to keep the household. If you let somebody inside of your regular house, they can't just come in and just start throwing and dumping trash all over the place. So you don't let people in level 1 that are not going to take care of you. They gotta at least be individuals that will pour into you, that can support you, that can give you something that can help you get healed and get whole. That's level 1. Level 2, think of it as a fence around the house. We don't mind letting people inside the fence. You may not want them in your house, but you are comfortable enough with them to let them inside of your fence. Lots of times that's coworkers, Facebook group friends, things like that. Right now we're inside of each other's sort of fence of our world. Then there's level 3, the public. The public is any and everybody. Doesn't matter who they are, they're out there. You treat them accordingly. There are things that you don't just share randomly with the public. So if you wouldn't share it with the public, there are some people in your world that you may need to move into a different level. When I was sharing earlier that there are some people that may come up to you and start asking because they're being nosy, what are you doing? You may need to move them into a different level. They're one part of your life. Think about it as seasons. In one season of your life, they may have been level one, but in another season, your divorce is a new season. Your divorce is a new emotion. Your divorce is a new caveat of your being. You're in something brand new. It's a new season. Those people may no longer be house people. You may need to put them into another level. Now that you understand the 3 levels, you need to make certain that the people that you meet, you bend them in the levels of relationship. That way you know how to engage with them. So your first, the brand new, trying to figure people out, level 3, they're the public. You decide if you want them in the fence, and you decide that by doing what you did when you were little. Some of us forgot how to make friends. Remember when you were little and you wanted to do something fun? You were playing a game. You started off often playing that game by yourself. You had such fun on your own that somebody else was like, can I play with you? You do the same thing. Find things that you enjoy. And if you don't know what it is, you may have to do what I did. I had to rediscover what I liked. After the abandonment and betrayal and feeling discarded after my divorce, I had to rediscover Tanya. I started with the basics. What's my favorite color? Now, granted, most of my life, teal was my favorite color. But being married to my ex, if you ever walked into our home at that time, you would have never known that my color existed because it was not in my house, because it wasn't his favorite color. Teal was nowhere to be found. Why? Because I taught him that it was okay to discard me. When you start allowing the small things just continue to be discarded and pile up, one day you're going to get tired of it because somebody's going to put a straw on top of that pile and you're going to blow up and they're going to look at you like, what's wrong with you? Like something's seriously wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. You just did not honor who you are at the core of your being enough. That's why step 1, honor you. Find your core strength. Discover who you are. Write it down. Be clear about that without validation. If you need to ask people one word, what one thing comes to mind when you think of me? That will give you another clue about you that they see. And I want you to realize that you are a multifaceted being. Everybody around you is not going to pick up all the elements of who you are because you haven't yet discovered all of who you are. Remember, I shared earlier, complementary. My current husband is complementary to me. I don't have to change Tanya to be in his presence. I don't have to change elements, keep morphing, fixing, and pushing stuff aside to be me. Eric is okay with who I am at the core of my being because I'm okay. So a lot of you are familiar with my next level notes. For those of you that are not, the next level note are the lessons that have fueled my life, that have helped me get to the next level. And they are grounded in how I believe. Then I often say, you let Jesus join you on the journey. It is fun on this side because it's on this side that I found love. It is on this side that I found strength. It is on this side that I got clear about who I am at the core of my being and how amazing I am. And one of the things that helped me get that clarity was the story that I heard. There was this gentleman. He was a master painter. He painted all over the world. There were kings and queens that chartered him to do paintings for them because of how amazing he did it. He was traveling one time and he came across this old little shop. And he thought, oh, let me go in and see, because, you know, when you're traveling around and you're visiting different places, you go inside the small shops because you can always find some great things in there. And that was his thought. So he looked around and he saw a few knickknacks here, a few little things for your home. And as you went around, there were paintings on some of the walls and some things that were around. And he got a little closer to the back of the shop and he saw this painting that was sitting on the floor. It had dust on it and you can clearly see that no one really cared for it. The frame was broken. It looked like it was discarded. And he looked at the shopkeeper and he said, what's about to happen with that painting? He says, oh, that painting is It's no good. It's all broken. It's tattered. It's torn. It's in transport, got broken, and I haven't been able to sell it. So I've been setting it over there thinking one day I'm going to fix it, but I haven't got around to it. And it was clear because there were cobwebs all over it and piled up with the dust that had been sitting on it for years. So you knew his getting around to it was still constant neglect. The painter kept looking at it. He said, "Can I get a closer look at it?" So the guy took it and brought it to him. The painter did a quick, get the dust off, get a little closer look. And he looked at it, he says, "How much do you want for this painting?" And the shopkeeper looked at him and said, "You want that painting? Do you know how many other famous paintings that I have inside of this shop? You can get a Monet. You can go over there and look at all these various things." He said, "No, I want this painting. How much?" Now, the shopkeeper, seeing that he had interest inside of this painting, thought, let me see. And he came up with some astronomical number that was ridiculous for the space and place that painting was in. There was no way any sane individual would have decided to say yes to the price that the shopkeeper gave for that painting. But the painter said, "Okay, I'll pay for it." And the shopkeeper looked at him and he took the painting and started wrapping it up really quick before the painter decided to change his mind, because the shopkeeper knew that price was ridiculous. The painter also knew was ridiculous. And after he paid the price, the shopkeeper said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Sure." "Why would you pay the price for that?" He said, "There's something about this painting that you do not know. I recognize this painting because I painted it. It was one of my special pieces. I put a lot of love inside that painting, a lot of care inside that painting. And I'm also certain with every fiber of my being that I can restore that painting to its former glory because I'm the one that made it. I'm clear about the intricacies. There are some elements that were designed in it that looks like there's dark hues that someone may not understand, but I recognize that the dark hues on that painting pulls out some element inside of it so that when it is highlighted in different environments, you get the chance to appreciate some elements of it. It's tattered and torn here. And for you discarding it the way you did, you probably discarded it because you didn't understand that this painting is a masterpiece. So I will restore it because I made it in love to begin with. And love always restores what is broken, discarded, and darkened by others, because they're all masterpieces. So here's my next level note. Because when I first heard that story, God reminded me, Tanya, he could not love you the way you needed to be loved, because it wasn't in him to recognize that the dark hues in your soul, the dark pieces that he thought didn't fit him well, were put there intentionally because it gives you depth, it gives you breadth, and it is amazing. He could not love you and tossed you and discarded you to the side where you got dust caked up on you, spider webs all over you. But I recognize with a little love, a little care, the masterpiece that I designed you to be will be present once again, because love will cover a multitude of sins. And then God showed me in Ephesians 2:10, where in the Bible, God wrote that I was a masterpiece. If you have a Bible, go to that verse. Get the version, because there's different versions. But the old King James Version says that God called you a masterpiece. And because he knew the love that needed to be poured inside of your soul, the love that you will be able to give to others when you are fully restored. Some people, as I often say, can't handle your love because you may be walking around with a 10-gallon jug of love while they're walking around with a thimble. So if you got a thimble-sized person that you married that discarded you and abandoned you, recognize your 10-gallon love is still there. Your 10-gallon love still exists. And the masterpiece that God designed you in, if you let him join you on the journey, will give you clarity about who you are at the core of your being. You will then choose different. And then you can teach people how to treat you. And if you want someone to join you on the journey, feel free to go to my website, TanyaEHood.com. There you can click on the Work With Me tab and see the various ways that we can work with one another. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.